All right, welcome. If you're new to the channel, my name is Elliott with Rickety Ski Reviews, and today we are going to be reviewing some new content from Ski Essentials. They blasted out a bunch of new ski reviews from 2024. How they got new reviews out in August and clearly some of it is winter skiing, I'm not sure. I've only watched a couple of clips in their shorts and the reels. I haven't actually watched any of these videos yet, but have they just been sitting on these since the end of last winter? It's so odd. Someone said in the comments that there's 350 new videos all at once. Wow, okay. Let's see what we're working with here. I just did the Andy Lewicki video. It's fresh in my head. Let's do it now. Strike while the iron's hot. One ski 2 days in a row, it'll be okay. Everybody will live. In the comments, I've seen mostly really positive comments, people saying things like, oh, finally someone says what I feel when I ski on the Atomic Bent. Or people on the Maverick saying, hey, I wasn't really familiar with the ski, and now that I've tried it, I love it, thanks, I ended up ordering a pair. That is awesome. Love to see it. I'm really glad to see that this channel is helping people get information about skis where it might not always be readily available. So, awesome. Please, let me know how you like them later on in the season. I don't know. I'm just curious. I like knowing how people like their skis. So with no further ado, let's jump into the video of the 2024 Atomic Maverick 100 Ti from Ski Essentials. Also, I had a bunch of comments saying well, they just don't ski on every ski on camera for budgets, just like you don't. And that would be a really clever comment, except in my Vocal Deacon review from this past summer at Mount Hood, you can see me skiing on them. It's right here below. You can and I'm really skiing on them. I understand that's not always easy to do, but they have a full team and there's 2 people. I have to really work to get ski footage. In fact, in some of my early reviews, I plant my camera on the ski hill, ski past it, and then have to do a whole lap around and grab my camera. And luckily it's never been stolen or anything, but you can get ski footage. It's not always easy, but it's definitely doable. Now, with no further ado, actually a little bit further ado, I'm gonna give you a synopsis of what I felt. The Atomic Maverick is my favorite ski. I think it's got a lot more diversity than people realize. It's a great carving ski, but it also goes into the woods. I know this term gets thrown around a lot, but I feel like it's a true all-mountain ski. I can ski the groomers and then hop into the powder and then hop out, and it just allows you to make really beautiful lines. Now, I ski on the 88 Ti as my daily driver, and then I also have a QST 106 for powder, but I have demoed and reviewed the Atomic 95 Ti and the Atomic Maverick 100 Ti. I think the Maverick 95 is the closest thing to a one ski quiver you could get, because it's got enough width to be comfortable in the powder and is still really reactive and has a lot of the good things from the 88 Ti, but the 88 Ti is just more responsive, right? Having a little bit thinner underfoot really just allows you to get from turn to turn quicker. That being said, the 100 Ti, if you were doing really big mountain lines in powder, I think that's a phenomenal ski. You can still carve on it, but it's got to be a little more patient with the turns because of that width. It's a little bit more GS turny. But, if I was just looking for a ski to do it all and I was going to have some powder days that I still wanted to feel that carving, I think the Maverick 100 Ti is so overlooked and really, really a beautiful ski. I liked it a lot. It can feel a little sluggish edge to edge just because compared to the 88 Ti, which snaps really quickly, you do feel that difference, but it's much more responsive than a lot of other skis that are 100 underfoot. A very beautiful ski, a great carver, but also a lot of diversity, and it's gonna allow you to go in the trees, especially when there's fresh powder. Anyway, that's what I thought of it. Let's jump into the review. All right, here we go.
Hey skiers, I'm Jeff from SkiEssentials.com. Welcome to our 2024 ski.
Can I just say the new intro is sweet? Whoever edited that did a nice job. It's funny, it's the click one from the very early days. I don't know, I hated it. The one that they had more recently was good. This one's a little more cinematic. I like it.
Test. Today we're talking about this Atomic Maverick 100 Ti. This is the widest ski in the Maverick collection, which enters its 3rd year for 2024. And I like this ski a lot. And it's really interesting to me how they don't seem to have been adopted by as many skiers as we originally anticipated. When Atomic came out with this ski, given the popularity of things like the Bent 100, we kind of expected it to be a popular choice. And
Yeah, well, that's because the Atomic Bent has been kind of sold to everyone as a ski that everyone can be on. And I've talked about this in recent videos. I'm not going to beat that dead horse. But the long and short of it is, basically, the Atomic Bent has come in and people have been recommending it to everyone, even people who aren't going to go in the park. And really, if you're going to be in the park and the powder, Atomic Bent, nice fit. But if you're going to be on the groomers, which is like 75% of people, if you're going to be on the groomers and the powder, the Atomic Maverick 100 is great. And so it's kind of been overlapped by not only the Backland, which is a powder and touring ski, but also by the Bent. And there's very little room left over for that Atomic Maverick 100, which is a shame because I think it's one of the nicest skis that they make, and it carves beautifully. Really, this is a really nice ski, and like he's saying, it oftentimes gets overlooked by consumers. But also, some of that is you guys. You guys say, maybe not Ski Essentials as much, but like Curated says, oh, this is a do-it-all ski when they're talking about the Atomic Bent 100. It's like when you do that and you push it so much, you're kind of promising that a ski can do something it can't, and then you're pushing out a ski that actually is really good at the groomers and the powder, which is the Maverick 100.
You don't see a tremendous amount of them in lift lines, whether you're here on the east or out west or across the country, or I haven't been to Europe for a long time, so I can't speak to that, but it just feels like a ski that is a little bit underrated, and I want to talk through why that might be.
Okay, have they been watching my videos? Because that's what I always say about them. They are very underrated and they are very slept on. I can understand that these wouldn't be very popular in the East. If it was me on the East, I would probably stick with the 88 Ti, just because you don't need all that much width on the East Coast. Like 88 Ti should give you more than enough width for most powder days on the East Coast. I guess like a 95 if you want to be really comfortable and make sure you can get everything. But the 100 isn't super necessary for the East Coast. But for the West Coast, Atomic Maverick 100 Ti, if you're out in Salt Lake at Snowbird or something, chef's kiss. I think this is the ski I'd want. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, this is weird. I know they watch my videos, like I got an email saying they do, so I'm right there with you, Jeff. I think that this ski is very slept on. It has a really beautiful design, and the way that it carves is just magnificent, and the amount of versatility and powder that they were able to kind of bake into the 100 is pretty amazing. And like I said, my friend Zach, who helped me review these at Mount Hood, I think this is like the perfect ski for him. If I could just make a pair of skis appear and give them to him, this would be it.
And why it is a cool ski and a beneficial ski for a lot of skiers. So very, very versatile ski here. It is strong, it's powerful, we've got some metal in its build, but it's very versatile too. It does actually share some characteristics with that Bent 100, or even like the Backland 100. In fact, it is fascinating that Atomic has 3 skis that have very similar shapes that are all 100 underfoot, but if you like the Bent 100 and you want a little bit more power, or maybe you've thought that through that, this actually could be the best ski for you.
Yeah, and not only that, it gets the benefit of the Horizon tech, which those all get, which really make it floaty in the powder. Like, I ski on the 88 Ti, and it feels like a much wider ski than it is, and a lot of that is because of the Horizon tech. I always wonder, why there's so much more popularity with the Bent. I would guess that is because there's a larger population of people who aren't carving, who aren't loading the ski all the way, who are maybe just kind of hot dogging and sliding out their turns. Also, there's an increased popularity in freestyle skiing, so people want a ski that can kind of cover that for them, right? If you're spending money, you're like, oh, I spent all this money, but these skis can't go in the park. I kind of understand that. But I think for the majority of people, this is actually a perfect ski, but they get kind of gravitated either through the shops or through the artwork, I'm not sure exactly, but they kind of get misfunneled over to the Bent when really, if they skied on the Maverick, they would love it. I mean, I talk about these skis all the time. I love the Atomic Mavericks, and they are very underrated.
So from a construction perspective, we've got a relatively lightweight wood core in this ski, and then thin metal laminates. And it's really cool how Atomic does this because the weight is quite impressive. So
That was a really clean flip. I don't know if he practices that, but that's cool. Yeah, it manages to be light while also really floating well and also giving you a lot of stability. The Maverick is a really amazing design. It's like taking that Vantage almost cut and feeling and expanding on it and giving it more camber and really taking a lot of the weight out. It's pretty amazing.
1,315 grams in this ski, and I've got the 180 centimeter length here. So that's a lot of ski. That's a lot of surface area. There's just a lot going on here for a very, very low weight, and to achieve kind of the power and vibration damping of metal while retaining that weight is just a commendable feat. So I think that's a great place to start.
Yeah, and like I talked about that. It's only 100 grams heavier than the Bent 100, which is pretty amazing. And also for anyone watching at home who's curious about this, the 180, I believe, is this length of ski that I tried this specific ski on. So if he got it from the Atomic guy, it might be the same ski even, which is kind of funny. But yeah, this is the same ski that I skied on, and I was blown away by them. It is a lot of ski, and it floats on a wide range of snow types. I think that's something that maybe people could talk about more in their diversity, because snow has a lot of different consistencies. Anything from, you know, what they call kind of hard pack East Coast ice or firm West Coast snow, all the way to soft powder, but then there's like wet, heavy powder, then there's, you know, wind-blown powder in different patches. And what's nice about these skis, especially skiing out west, where it's really windy, depending on, so in the East Coast, you kind of have a face that you ski down. All mountains, except for one in the state of Vermont, are north-facing mountains. I think I have that right, yeah. Are north-facing mountains. There's one south one, which I believe is Bromley, but they're all north-facing. In the West Coast, you have entire 360 degrees around the mountain. So depending on where you are will depend on how much sunlight is on the snow, how windblown it is, and really the areas that get a lot of wind, the snow stays light and fluffy. So the reason I bring this up is the Atomic Maverick is really good at handling different types of snow. I might be on one side of the ridge and I'm coming down and the snow is really light and fluffy because it's been hit by wind. And then I kind of get around the corner where it's been sun facing, it'll be wet and sticky. But this ski handles both sets of snow really well, which is really nice as a skier, not having to, you know, because the conditions can change so much inside of one run. Having a ski that can handle both those conditions and still be light really makes this a valuable ski.
The other really cool thing about the way that they build this ski is how they transition from vertical sidewall underfoot to more cap construction in the tips and tails. That actually exactly corresponds to where the rocker starts too, which we'll look at in a second. So basically what they're doing is they're creating this strong, powerful feel underfoot, but then allowing the tips and tails to be a little looser and a little more playful.
If you look at them next to the Vantage, you can see where they've cut a lot of that weight out. In the Vantages, the way that they had to do it, at least in the skis I have, is they had like a carbon mesh on the tip, and then a lot of the Titanal was in the base and tail, at least from what I understand. You have to dig through the archives a little bit to find, you know, on my skis that are that old. But they had to use the material to keep it light. And here you can see they cut a lot of the kind of thickness out of the ski to keep it light. And that construction gives you a lot of extra pop, but it doesn't sacrifice any stability or any energy in and out of the turns. Which I think, you know, is just kind of narrowing down on what makes it such an amazing engineering feat, that it was able to cut back that weight, but not sacrifice any of the turn ability. I still have the full range of turn that I had. In fact, I probably have a little bit more. Really, this is an amazing ski.
Taking a look at shape, I mentioned that rocker profile, how it starts where the vertical sidewall ends. Hopefully you can see that on camera. Tail rock. Yeah,
and look at that nice healthy camber. I mean, I store my Vantages and my Maverick side by side, so I look at this every day. But it really is, it's a really beautiful thing.
Rocker starts about there. Tip rocker is notably more substantial, or at least a little longer than tail rocker. Gives the ski a little bit more float, a little better turn initiation in softer snow conditions, and I just think it's a really good way to design this ski. Yeah, and the
nice thing about that too is it allows you to float without having to lean back. You can have a stable platform, make comfortable turns without having to lean all the way back. I mean, you probably wouldn't have to lean anyway because these are a nice width, but when you combine that nice rocker profile with the Horizon Tech, it really allows you to have smooth skiing off trail.
We do get Horizon Tech up here in the tip, so very, very good.
Okay, I don't want to see anyone judging that skiing, because who hasn't been putting their pulls on and gotten distracted? I will say these aren't a great East Coast ski. It looks like they're at Stowe. Maybe in the spring it feels okay, but if you wanted to like really see these skis in their prime, go to Sun Valley. Go, at the end of the year, maybe February to March, go to Utah, go somewhere like that, because that's where that ski really shines. When you get into some of that heavier snow, you're just not going to be able to feel that flotation, and you're really going to be more focused on, wow, these take a little bit longer to turn than the 88 Ti. Just my 2 cents, but if I was like designating a perfect area for these skis, it would be like a wind-blown, big mountain, kind of big radius turn, flotation, or from the groomers into the woods where you're getting some of that fresh powder.
Very good tip design here for soft snow, but then strong throughout the rest of the ski. And just very rewarding to ski. It's kind of one of those skis where it literally doesn't matter where you're skiing or where you take it, you're gonna have a good time. On a groomer, it can lay down some really impressive carves.
Okay, one thing I would say from the skiing, this is not a critique of the skiing. I understand what they're doing. It looks like spring skiing based on those turns. With this kind of snow, you don't have time to make those big roundabout turns. But for this ski specifically, making those kind of swashed out turns, while the ski does a good job of that, if you really want to feel like the full power of the ski, what you want to do is load up and be patient and wait for it to come around, because that's where the ski feels really good. These swashed out turns are fine, and especially in these snow conditions, I get it. This looks like late season snow, maybe March or April or something. But if you want to really feel the Atomic Maverick kind of at its peak or at its best performance, especially in this width, you have to be more patient with your turns. You have to kind of bring it across the hill. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to load it fully. And yeah, like it's not an 88 Ti, it's a 100 Ti. It takes a little bit longer to kind of get that turn initiated and all the way around. But nothing against the skiing. I get why they're skiing like that. It's just, if you wanted to really feel the ski at its full potential.
It never really feels like it's losing edge grip. Sure, it's not as powerful as some skis on the market, say like, I don't know, like a Mantra 102. That ski feels a little stronger and more precise on a groomer. But we're up in 100 underfoot width range here. Like we're not really focusing on groomer performance, or at least I think most people aren't when they get up here. And I do think in this category, for most skiers, this is plenty.
Yeah, but the trade-off is that the Volcom Mantra, it is going to cut through the slush more for you, right? So especially in the late season, you start to notice it more. But the Volcom Mantra is a kind of a heavier ski, so when you load, it's going to cut through the crud for you. But I would argue with the Atomic Maverick, if you really stand on the downhill ski and trust it, it will cut through everything. It won't feel as like reliable and kind of do it for you as the Volcom Mantra, but you're getting such a light ski, you're getting way more pop in and out of your turns, and you're getting better flotation. So it's like, okay, you have this one thing where it's more of a crud cutter like a K2 Mindbender, or you're getting these 3 other things where it's lightweight, you're getting great turn initiation. But yeah, you got to be a little bit more confident on your downhill ski to cut through that stuff. And for me, in my opinion, that's a great trade-off.
This is plenty of stability, plenty of strength, plenty of edge grip, and then it's just that much more agile when you take it off trail. So in the trees, it feels pretty close to a Bent 100. It's not quite the same rocker profile, but it's not far off either. It is a stiffer flex pattern than something like a Bent 100, but it's not like break your leg stiff.
Yeah, and it does feel good in the woods, especially with that Horizon Tech and all the flotation you get. It really, and people almost never take it in the woods. I never see it out there. And it's like, it's a very slept on ski.
So I think that's a cool way to think about it. And it's just, again, it's interesting that those skis have just gained so much popularity. And I think if you were to make an objective analysis of the entire skiing population, there are more skiers that should be skiing this than a Bent 100. If you're a directional...
Yeah, I say that all the time. Yeah, and especially like if you're thinking on it from a longevity stance, if you want to like do this as a lifetime sport, it's good to learn how to carve, and this ski allows you to carve really well. It's going to allow you great stability on the groomers, but it's still going to give you that playfulness and lightness in the powder that you're going to be able to take it off the trail.
Skier that likes to have some stability, I'd say Maverick 100 Ti is a better ski for you. It just hasn't really achieved that like iconic status that the bent skis have. So
whoever this is skiing on it right there, it doesn't look like Jeff or Bob. You look a little uncomfortable. That ski really doesn't ski well if you're just gonna like kind of slide out your tails. What you wanna do is load it up, bring it all the way around, and then chef's kiss. That's where you get that beautiful turn from the Maverick.
Really great skis here. You know, they're even light enough that like you could put an atomic shift binding on here and use it as a touring ski too. I think that would be a perfectly reasonable thing to do, even though Atomic has something like the Backland 100. You know, this would be a little bit more of a hybrid resort slash side country, backcountry ski. But yeah.
Yeah, he's totally on the money with that. And again, it's like, you know, depends on how far you want to stretch a ski. I will say, whoever's the skiing, you need to stand on your downhill ski more. You're like not trusting it, and I can see you're putting a little more pressure on the inside ski. Just stand on the downhill ski and be patient with it, especially with a 100 underfoot while you're in stow.
Really fun, strong underfoot, great vibration damping, feels powerful, feels strong, but then it's agile and playful, and there's some fun factor to it as well. So that's the Maverick 100 from Atomic. Let us know if you have any questions about it, and we will see you out there on the slopes.
Okay, 2 thumbs up. I love to see the Atomic Maverick finally like get the recognition it deserves. It's a very nice ski, but again, like he said, it's not very popular. I think some of that is to do with the branding of the Vantage, with the rise of the bent, but really for most people, this is a beautiful ski. It gives them the powder that they want and the carving ability. Yeah, 2 thumbs up. This is like the best Ski Essentials review I think I've ever seen. Just in that they kind of covered all the bases, they shined a light on a ski and parts of the ski that aren't usually kind of covered. A+, that was really cool. I think maybe it's probably a little arrogant to say that they saw my video, because some of that stuff is a lot of what I harp on all the time. Maybe it's just that we're parallel thinking, because yeah, a lot of that is what I said as well. As always, Ski Essentials, A+, 2 thumbs up, great video. I liked it a lot. That's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to like and subscribe, that helps my channel out a lot. But more importantly, it just helps make sure if you like this kind of content that you get more content like this kind of fed to you. But more than anything, I love making content like this. I love seeing all the great comments down in the comment section. And thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. And as always, see you in the next one. See ya.